Were you promised a life of fulfillment and prestige from the girl boss fad? You may be entitled to compensation. Today, we're offering just that in the form of an honest recount of how the girl boss era sadly missed the mark. The bad, creative, yeah. We're talking about the scam of the girl boss era of the 2010s, and I have my friend Nellie here.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the Bad Creatives podcast show. I'm Alexa Van, and this is Nellie.
I'm Nellie.
Hey, Nellie. Thanks for coming on the show today. You have your own business,
Yes,
right?
I do.
You want to pronounce it for us?
It's pronounced Gravitatas. It's a supportive sleepwear brand for women with big boobs. Gotta support the ladies.
We gotta support the ladies. I hate the 2000s because we say in the 2000s and now we have to say the 2010s.
2010.
In the 2010s, there was the girl boss thing.
Yes,
I believe started with Nasty Gal.
exactly. Hashtag Girlboss with the pink book. With a bob, her hands on her hips. And she was sharing a picture of Girlboss that was appealing to a lot of young women.
It seemed empowering, right? It was like you could do anything. I get the appeal. But like, you could be a single mom and have an entire full career too.
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, I can. And then you do it and you prove to yourself you can do it. And you're like, why would I want to do this?
And I think the premise at the beginning was kind of compelling. I remember reading that book, and Sophia was somebody who dumpster dove for food, and she worked in a shoe shop. She seemed to speak with some authority. I was hearing the story about somebody like finding clothing and reselling it, and I thought, wow, that is a striking story. I really like that. And she was just a little offbeat because the general track at the time was Mark Zuckerberg's, or
People named Mark.
it was nice to see a young woman who was kind of scrappy. But I think what happened is that movement, that hashtag, ended up getting co-opted by the same general powers that be out there, like mainly high finance and trying to make a buck out of anything.
Exploited.
Yes.
They capitalized on her.
Somehow she ended up with a fashion brand.
I remember Nasty Gal though back in the day. I loved Nasty Gal.
I think she fell into a trap that became the norm, which is for young women to put on a pink suit and try and grab venture capital money, which is this system of money that props up businesses and spends harder than anybody else to win out of the competition. And it's inauthentic, inorganic, and it kind of like...
You can't do really well with a business model like that without stepping on other people, right?
Exactly. I think that's a great summation,
Yeah.
honestly. That's how we've ended up with things like Amazon, because they spent more money than anybody else reasonably could to provide cheaper books than anybody else could, so that they drive all the booksellers out. Anyway, Sophia, I feel like she fell into that establishment and ended up leaving. She got kicked out. The company went bankrupt. Now, oddly enough, she's doing venture capital for other women, so she's kind of stuck around in the same waters.
I guess I kind of get it though. If you're sick of being the underdog and you just want to feel what it feels like, to just be like, I did it. I'm successful and I don't have to worry about the stupid shit I used to have to worry about. Everybody else is doing it. Why shouldn't I do it? And why shouldn't I do it the best?
Right.
And I'm inspiring other women to be better. We know what we thought it promised. So we get the appeal. But then what actually ended up happening for you going that route?
I think I was entering that world curious about a proven track that had people on it that seemed more like me than the Marks. They were wearing pink suits. They were pregnant on the cover of a magazine, and they were succeeding in this world. But ultimately, it was a form of success, but it was also like a carrot dangle for women everywhere that was unachievable.
And it was also just like capitalism branded as women's empowerment and toxic positivity.
Basically, 2010s, New York City, pre-pandemic, I joined the Wing.
Wait, what is the Wing?
The Wing was an all-women's network. It was basically like a pink power suit in interior design form with a high monthly membership cost and branded bathroom accessories to do your makeup on the way to your next meeting kind of thing. Audrey Gelman was the founder of the Wing, who she ended up... Basically, every girl boss that ever was got like fully canceled during the pandemic. and came crashing and burning down.
Why did they get canceled?
TLDR is like essentially white elitism is what got them in trouble. Like the short of it is that they were all highly elite white women who were making bad decisions with people of color at either employees.
They were exploiting people.
Yeah, exactly. But it was also more baffling and frustrating because so many of them branded themselves as girl bosses. This is around the time that Trump won. So it was this feminist pursuit of, hey, this is a place for women to gather and be together and break the glass ceiling and raise money for our businesses and whatever the fuck. And then the underbelly of it was, oh, it's the same toxic bullshit that exists in all these other institutions.
But it's literally the same. But you would think, oh, it's a woman, so maybe she's going to be more empathetic or
care about work-life balance.
But they didn't do that at all. In fact, they made it even harder because they're saying, look, I did it and I'm a girl.
Yeah.
What did it take for you to do that?
That was the question that I was wanting to know so desperately because I felt like I was putting myself in these spaces and I felt more of an imposter than ever. I think I was showing up trying to look orderly and clean and just seemed like I had my shit together, basically. And then you find out, oh, wow, like we're all here to try and raise money for our businesses, but only 2% of venture capital funding goes to women. And even half a percentage is going to women of color. That's really shocking information. And we're supposed to all be gunning for the same thing. Why is that the goal? And then you want to try and change that. We've got to be asking for more breakthrough and get this venture capital money. But what I ultimately realized is that route isn't meant for me, and I can let go of that route and instead build something that isn't going to put me on the cover of a magazine, but that isn't going to follow that mold, and maybe it'll get me somewhere that I'm going to enjoy. I think I had to put down the idea of what success would look like and stop chasing that version of it.
I feel like that's kind of punk rock because you were like, fuck this, not for me. You guys are all fake. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
This is just the way that it is. Or maybe I could have taken it down. Maybe I just got to get in the door and work my way up and then change it.
Yeah.
But instead, I think it's very rebellious to be like, absolutely not.
I think I went through all of those stages. There was definitely a moment where I was kicking myself for not being able to show up and follow up with all these potential investors and be hitting them up and showing up to the networking events and crafting my pitch and really trying to schmooze with players. Eventually, I did get over that because I heard from people within the rooms who were like, don't come in here. You don't want to be in this room. They're like, if you can avoid taking venture capital, please do so. Like, honestly, it'll be much better. And then coinciding with getting older, learning how to take care of myself in better ways, like knowing that I need rest, realizing that I'm building a company about rest and supporting women. So I don't want to be doing it in a way that feels disingenuous to my nature.
Oh, you don't want to be a scam artist? So coming to this place where you're like, I'm a bad entrepreneur. I can't do it. I'm not good at it.
Yes.
And I really relate to that because I came across this term last night in one of my lovely wormholes. Creativepreneur.
Yes.
It's like being an artist today, it's not like how it used to be where you have a whole team instantly that's like, we discovered you. It's kind of up to you to be your business team. You're running your own business. There's people who have managers and all of that too. I'm not saying there isn't, but for the average creative, there's still so much you have to do yourself. Even if it's just creating content, putting it out there and scheduling stuff. I felt like I wanted to break the mold and not have to do that. I wanted to just be the artist and not have to worry about any of that. When I did try to go full forward with it and I was trying to do everything, organizing everything, trying to do all these photo shoots, trying to organize all the shows, getting all the shit there, that's not like 100% how it felt all the time. I had a good time as well, but with so many of these things that were supposed to be like, this is what life is all about, I felt like I was trying really hard to make it into a business that I wouldn't even want anything to do with. No wonder it didn't feel good. I didn't think of it from a business mindset. When I came across that word, I was like, oh, creativepreneur. I was like, that's so what it is. And I wish more people would talk about that.
Right.
Because, you know, the reality is, if you want to be an artist, you are going to have to know about business these days. When you're just like, follow your dreams and anything is possible, nobody's talking about what you do to support that. or what it takes. The average artist isn't going to go to business school. You wouldn't even cross your mind that I'm going to have to do so much business stuff as well. If this is what it is, and this is what I have to work with, how can I make this work for me?
Yeah. We have to think about where we're trying to get to ultimately, what that looks like in the day to day, too. I think everyone wants to be successful and feel good. But when I was hearing these girl bosses talk about their lives, I was like, oh my God, I don't want that at all. You're working, you don't see your friends and family ever. You are constantly fundraising, constantly in meetings. It's like everything's falling on your shoulders. It sounds god awful. Trying to do each piece of it in a way that feels authentic.
Sustainable. Because what I thought is once you get there, I'll feel okay.
Yeah.
And also, there is aspect of like being a business woman or having that kind of mindset that is valid in the sense of it's just business. And that aspect is still important to this day because you have to see all the bad reviews. You have to get every rejection in your face. I mean, not only am I an artist, but now I'm advocating for myself, putting myself out there, dealing with rejections. I know like that's always been a part of it, but I feel like it's even more extreme now with just living in the land of reviews and everyone gets to have a voice now. And a majority of people's voices suck. They're so mean. They're anonymous, so they just say whatever.
I haven't experienced too much of that yet at this point. Luckily, big boob women who are getting support from me are like, thank you so much.
It could be something like where you want your bras in a store.
Oh, if I think about it
Yeah.
and like the times that I were pitching this business to people, it was amazing when I was pitching to men that like, and I mentioned it was like for big boobs. By the way, I got a breast reduction.
Why Gravitatas? Like, what was the emotional charge behind that?
Got it. Yes. So I was actually running my first business, which is a British meat pie company in Oakland, California. And I had big boobs. I was like a 32G, which is just like incredibly uncomfortable. I was sleeping every night with a sports bra or a tight tank top and shoving a pair of fuzzy socks between my boobs so they wouldn't smush when I was on my side. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, oh, there's got to be a better way. And I was just like audacious enough, I guess, to look into how do you design a product? I looked everywhere for something. There really wasn't anything that exists. It's all grandma style, very medical, or as we know, very hypersexualized. We operate in a society of averages and things, so it's all built around maybe one size that's like a 36C or something, and then everything just kind of spawns off of that.
I remember I saw your article for Salty Magazine.
Shout out.
Great feminist literature. If you haven't checked it out yet, what are you doing? I
Yeah.
read your article and it was like, wow, you don't know what other people's life is like.
Absolutely.
Even something that seems so easy to dismiss, like, oh, big boobs.
Yeah, like cry me a river.
You were talking about the other side of it too, whereas you did have some privileges that came with that were like weird, but you were just aware of it.
Yeah, I think I got big boobs before I knew that was the goal. You know, suddenly the world changed and older men were being creepy to me. But I did get to skip the years of being called like titless, like friends of mine in middle school, which was also traumatizing for them. It's just like two opposite sides of the same coin. This common enemy is men.
Everyone having something to say about our bodies while we're just
Literally
being
12 years old.
being alive. Yeah, I read this somewhere really important and philosophical, but it's like if you see something in the world that you want to exist, you should create it. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so you did.
Which is why I appreciate that you're creating this space, because I think like I was always seeking somebody to kind of give me some amount of guidance of like, okay, I know I'm creative. I know I have contributions to make. I just don't really see a way to do it, and how uncomfortable it can be when we're just seeing the same examples rolled out over and over again.
Or people talking about living in your truth, but what is truth? It's very layered.
Right?
Yeah. And can we really live in our most authentic truth all of the time if we're like have to work and get by? Okay, so I just like really quick to tie that back in with what we are talking about earlier. I really think that in order to thrive as a girl boss, you have to be a sociopath, a narcissist,
Yes.
fucking brainless, or like debt.
Incredibly privileged is also.
So we've got the big boobs and then now no more.
The now no more. I think the other thing about the Gravitatas of it all is in creating this company, there's a lot of opinions about how I should be speaking about big boobs or how I should be marketing to women with big boobs, consistently coming from anybody who's not in that demographic who has a lot of opinions about it. Like, you want to lean heavily into sex appeal, right? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. That's what we've been doing. This woman just wants to live. She just wants to get home at the end of the day after wearing her big girl bra and take a load off in the way that other women who take their bras off would
Comfortable and be
feel comfortable.
supported.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about Girl Boss. It was just putting a girl package on an existing product and calling it feminist.
Marketing.
Ultimately, it is very difficult to start a business, especially if you don't have a product background and piles of cash. But it has been a North Star that ultimately I'm helping women feel more comfortable every day.
Which is so important. It's realistic and it will never not be needed. And there's really not that much of it, probably because people would say that's not a big enough niche, no pun intended. I'm sure there's a bunch of people in the old world that you were in that'd be like, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. However, what we're finding more and more is like, well, why do you want to do what you want to do? In talking about living a life that's more in line with your truth and like the decisions that you made about yourself and your own body, being more honest with yourself about like how you wanted to live your life, how you wanted to feel in your body, and now you feel more comfortable and you've created something that will help other women to feel more comfortable.
Yeah. And I feel like any super hyper specific niche, like mine is big boobs and small bands,
there's a need.
There's a
If
need.
there's a need, there's a niche. Did I just coin that?
Yes.
There's a need, there's a niche. It's changing the mindset of just because it doesn't appeal to the masses doesn't mean it's not an incredibly potent thing to offer. When you are more connected with creating a quality product and you know who your audience is, you're creating a community. You're wanting to build that, and your entire basis of your business is going to be different than what you learned at the Girl Boss era and those weird meetings with the pink suits, right? Like, you're not trying to cut corners and screw people over, but that's what the Girl Boss thing is like, I'm a hustler, right? No, but you're like, I love the hustle.
Eat, sleep, hustle.
You're down to do whatever it takes to get the money and support yourself. I had a one-way ticket to Burnout Station, and I stayed there for a long time, and it turned into chronic depression, anxiety. And so here's the loop that I've been trying to heal. I'm sensitive, I'm neurodivergent, and I have executive dysfunction. I work really hard to try to make up for that executive dysfunction. I push through it and work harder to make up for where I'm lacking. It makes me crash out. And then I feel bad about the crash out. So working really hard again, it's created this cycle, and I've realized, how can I build sustainably in a way that doesn't cost me my mental and physical health anymore, so that I'm actually creating a life that I want?
Right. Yeah, I 100% relate. And I'm thinking back to this period of my life where I was working a 9-to-5 job. There was no creative energy happening in that job at all. And I was trying so desperately to be the girl boss who would wake up at 5 a.m., work on my business, go to work, then go to a networking event or whatever, and then come home and read a business book or whatever. I don't think I woke up at 5 a.m. more than 3 times during that whole span. To think I need to be working 12 hours a day is just a flawed premise in and of itself. For me, it was realizing that wasn't sustainable, taking the pressure way off, setting way longer timelines for when things needed to get done. At first, it was accidental, like, oh, wow, I just can't do it. And then it became more intentional, like,
because you realize, hey, wait a minute, I can just move
I can move the end date. I don't have to feel bad about myself.
I put a book out last year in October. I remember being like, so like, I got the release date, but like no one was waiting for this book. It was my release date. And so I moved it. I felt so much relief, but I also understand why I didn't want to move it. It is because it's that fear, right? That it's like, but I'm supposed to keep things moving along.
It's all trial and error, ultimately. You're trying to learn as you go how much you can do, and sometimes you get mad at yourself about it, and sometimes you prepare and it goes exactly as planned, you know?
Yeah, the bad creatives, that's what we are. Be true to yourself and live your life and see what can come of that. Because if you have to become somebody else who you hate, nothing against growing as a human and evolving and all of that, but if you have to become a version of you that feels so fake that you don't even feel like you're living your own life anymore, why are you doing that? And why are you trying to sell it to people?
Literally why?
It's so weird. It's so very, oh, right, because money.
Right.
But how much money do you not have anything against like wealth and making money? But at a certain point, I do think people just get addicted to hoarding money.
Yo, absolutely.
Because at a certain point, it's like, okay, is your quality of life getting better?
Yes, absolutely. There's studies on this.
So there really is a place for each person that is like the ideal place.
Right.
For you to be like in line with your happiness.
Right.
And then after that, I do think it becomes like an addiction.
Yeah. Oh, it's 100% addiction. There's also like so much ego involved. Those are the things that are driving so much of society to this day. And the girl boss movement was trying to hop on that train.
I want to ask you the mental and physical toll from trying to live that way. Did you hit a bottom with it?
I remember specifically a winter in 2018 where I got to a pretty depressed place. I was also having chronic back issues, which I thought was tied to my boob, but continued after the breast reduction. It's more so tied to stress than anything else. And recognize that a chronic thing can be tied to how I'm feeling, feeling, or pushing through. The mental and physical toll has definitely been something that's forced itself to be noticed. Now I'm more interested in how do I take care of my nervous system and make sure I get enough sleep and not do too many things in a day that overwhelm me, especially if I'm about to get my period or thinking about all of the different cycles that are happening.
Or if you are making a big launch, I don't think, oh, this is going to be more emotional for me.
Totally.
And maybe I should have a little less on my schedule so I just have some space to process that.
Exactly.
Just like things that make sense that involve being a human. And you're like, why am I feeling bad?
It generally comes down to you're doing too much. For me personally,
I can do a lot, but it's like at what cost? This whole idea of nervous system regulation and living, what happens, what kind of life do you create from a regulated nervous system? I can feel when I'm good, I'm in my element, and then I go somewhere that's just wrong. I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
You can feel it right away.
The body knows.
But if you don't know, when you get really far away from that and your point of reference is lost or you've been pushing, you really don't feel that. You're so all over the place that you can't tell anymore.
You just have to go home and watch 12 hours of Love is Blind.
Your own nervous system is such a wreck that you are totally disassociated.
Right. If you happen to have big boobs,
we want to know you.
Holler. Gravitatas.com. Pre-order now.
I'm glad that you went for it and you did what you wanted to do.
Listen, I've made a bra happen and I can do it again.
I'm inspired. I don't wear bras personally. I don't believe them.
That's fair. And we understand each other.
If you've got big boobs and you want to check out Gravitatas.com, I'm going to have the link in the show notes. Maybe being a bad entrepreneur is actually just being a real one. A human being who listens to their body and their own internal wisdom instead of a man-made empty promise. If you stop trying to be good at the wrong thing, what could you create? The bad creative. The bad creative. Yeah.